Good morning, everyone. I'm here with another flip-through video. This one is on a 6x8 album. It focuses on my trip to Portland and Seattle, although this one we're only going to look at Portland just to keep the video a little bit shorter. So this is a 6x8 album. It's by Simple Stories. And I do want to show you, there's the spine. I do put the year in there so that I can easily tell what year I'm looking at when they're on my shelf. So let's take a look at Portland. So this trip was in May of this year. It's pretty recent, and it's highly unusual that I would get this done this quickly. But I actually made one of these as a gift for the person who traveled with me. And so I thought, well, if I'm doing one, then I'm going to try and do the other, because there were some elements I could keep the same. Now, my friend and I only traveled together for the Seattle leg. I actually flew to Portland first by myself to have a day to just explore. I had never been to Portland, and I thought it would be fun to see the city. And then I took the train from Portland to Seattle, so you'll see some of that later. So here's Portland. This is from a line by Creative Memories, and I loved it because it has all this fun stuff, and then you just fill in your information. I always have to try to get a view out the plane window if I can. I like to be over the wing, so I was able to do it this time. And then just a little bit of my boarding pass. And then I happen to have this little cutout tag, and I can't remember what line this is from, but the colors just worked perfectly with what I had. And then this is while I'm on the plane. I couldn't believe it. They actually served Jimmy John's as an option. And I had brought on this stuff because I thought, well, they're not going to give me anything, so I better buy something in a little store in the terminal, which I did. But then treat to have Jimmy John's on the plane. So kudos to you, Sun Country. And then that was the book I was reading at the time, The Goldfinch. And this is once I arrived in Portland. I have this thing when I travel that if I'm going to a large city, I don't want to rent a car if I don't have to. I really like trying to use the public transportation that's available because that's what a lot of the locals do. And so I want to try it and see how it goes. So I did do that in Portland, and I had to do train or their light rail and bus. Now, one of the routes that I had looked at actually also included a tram, but it turned out I didn't need that. So I didn't get to try the tram, which was a little disappointing, but still it all worked out okay. So this just shows the route from when I landed at the airport, how I needed to go to get to where I was staying. So there, I can zoom in on that a little bit. This is the ticket that you get when you buy a transportation pass. I just did the one day, but it will work. The same pass will work for the bus, light rail, tram, and then I think they have a commuter rail that you can also use. I didn't need that, but I think there were 4 things that were included. So here was just a map that I had picked up. I can't remember where I got it. I think maybe in the airport even. And I kept it, and on the inside it really does give you a good layout of downtown Portland, and so I kept that. And I actually found this little, I think it's actually a magnet, not a button. I found it at Lan Su Chinese Garden, which we'll see in just a minute. But I thought, well, I have to have that. It even has the airport code on it. So more transportation stuff here. These are pictures from when I entered the airport. I like to do this where when I'm traveling, I take a screenshot of what any transportation app I'm using, what it tells me to do. So this is my plan for getting from the airport to where I was staying. So it shows me I'm already on. I'm going to deboard at this station. Then I have to walk across the street. I'm going to pick up my bus. And then this is my last stop here. So this was out the window. I think this was on the bus, not the train. But that's crossing over the river there. And then this was interesting. I had checked into where I was staying. I actually stayed at a guest house this time, which I've never done. And there'll be pictures of that later. But I had quickly just checked in and dropped off my bags. And I thought, I have some time. I want to just explore the neighborhood a little bit. I'd like to do that when I travel somewhere I've never been. And right up the street was this beautiful church. It's the Trinity Episcopal Church. And so I just walked around the grounds and took pictures of the facade. It was actually closed. They only open for tours once a week, which I didn't realize, or I just expected that, like most churches, you could walk in at any time, but they don't do that there. So I was not able to tour the inside. But the outside was beautiful. Look at these red doors. So I just walked around. They had a nice Celtic looking cross there. And I did put a flip in here so that you could see, look at this gorgeous door. And then that's what it looks like from across the street. So these are the front doors here, but this was like kind of a side door on the west side. So after that, I wanted to go to the Chinese Garden. And this was like #1 on my list, followed closely by Powell's books. So I wanted to hit this first because their hours were a little bit more limited. So you can kind of see, I just printed this out from Google Maps that shows the garden there. This is a digital file from, I think it's in a Creative Bubble. I've used them before. I just kind of cut it down to make it a 2x2. So this is the gate on the outside. This is actually from a booklet that you get once you pay your admission fee. They give you a booklet that shows you around the whole garden and tells you the story of it and what the different symbolism means. So I took the cover off of that and I put that in here as well. This is from the booklet too, and then I just stamped a little phrase on it. This is from the inside. Didn't really have anywhere else to put it, so I just cut it down a little bit and then made it into 2 of the pockets. Look at these photos. This place was so gorgeous. I can't even express how gorgeous it was. And you can kind of see in the water here, it started to rain when I was there. It didn't even matter. If you are ever in Portland, I don't care what the weather is, go here. Go to the Lan Su Chinese Garden. It is fantastic. They even do weddings and things here, and I can see why. I mean, wouldn't you love to have a wedding party on this branch? It would be fantastic. So just some more shots around the garden. I loved this door. What a nice design element. And something I decided to try in this album, which I haven't done a whole lot before, is to do inserts. So when I had some extra photos that didn't quite work with the rest of the design I had, I used an insert. And I think it worked quite well here. So again, just some more pictures around the gardens. The buildings are all very lovely. So they have different kind of scenes set up. This was almost like an office for an artist, maybe. And I did quite a bit of journaling here just about my experience and how when the rain started it was actually extremely peaceful. So I wanted to make sure that I journaled about that. This is stonework that you walk over. It was gorgeous. Well, everything in here was gorgeous. Especially if you're an Asian art person. It's growing more on me. It's never been my favorite genre, but it's growing on me. And this, I mean, you can't miss this. So they had quite a few areas that had different writing. And so I wanted to make sure that was included. And this was actually from a brochure that they handed out. It was their anniversary, and so they were doing some special performances. And I just thought this dancer here was beautiful, just with the delicate parasol and the green matching some of the other greens I had, so I wanted to put that in there as well. Just stamped on a little label, stapled it, stamped here. Oh, some more things from the brochure. There's that opening again, love it. This is my favorite picture. I love just the serenity of it, that you have this little pagoda type thing in the back. You can see the rain on the water a little bit, and then there's this boat and it's empty. So to me, it's really symbolized solitude and being at peace with yourself. And here's another unique cutout opening that they had in a wall, and then you could see to this beautiful floor here. Some more pictures. Love all the lanterns. So that was it for the garden, and then it was off to Powell's books. So this was the second thing on my list that I had to do. And it's everything you've heard. It's fantastic inside. If you are a book lover, OMG, you won't want to leave. I literally thought to myself, like, hey, I could move in here and just like sleep on the floor and I'd be happy. And there's also a coffee shop in here. So coffee and books, oh, can't get better than that. So here are just some photos from around the store. Different shelves that I visited when I was there. I mean, it's huge too. So if you're going, you probably need to really prepare to spend some time there. I did actually purchase something, so I did keep my receipt so that I could make use of that here. And then when I left Powell's, I decided again just to kind of explore the neighborhoods on the way back. When I went down, I kind of took a combination of bus and walking. On the way back, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk the whole way. It was nice again by then, and so I really got to see more of the neighborhoods. And this is my guest house. So it's kind of a combination between a hostel and a guest house. But the architecture, look at this. It's beautiful. It's an old Victorian style house. I had a private room to myself, which was very nice. You still share a bathroom. That's typical hostel style. But I did have a private room I didn't want to have to share with anybody that night. Here we are again, PDX. I think that's also from In a Creative Bubble, I think. Not 100% sure, but I think it is. And then that night for dinner, I really didn't have any plans since I was traveling solo, and I decided that I would go to a nearby deli. It was about, I'd say 6 or 7 blocks from my guest house. It had good reviews online, so I thought, what the heck, I'll just walk over there and try it. And it was such a good decision. Everything that I had was so good. And look at these cases. They were very artistically put together, so I quite enjoyed it. It was a scrapbooker's dream. And I love it that this set that I used actually says PDX. It was very Portland specific, so I was happy that I was able to use that. So here I am back at my guest house. So I actually had to do some work when I was there, so I just journaled a little bit about that. And then the next morning when I woke up, I had to catch my train to Seattle. So this was the train station, and I had a little snafu on the way. I made it on time, but I had a little snafu, and so I had to write about that, about what happened on my way to the train station. And I will say this page right here, this layout, is the only one I'm not happy with. I just couldn't get like elements that I was really super happy with in terms of color and size. So I may go back and redo some of this. I may keep these two because the colors are the same. This is the same, but I'm not totally happy with these. So we'll see. So that's just a little quote, and then I like to save all the card numbers and things when I travel by train. And it was kind of cloudy that day, as you can tell, so not the best color in the pictures, but I tried. At least the scenery was lovely. And then that's where Seattle starts, so we won't look at that yet, but then this was the last page, and I just journaled a little bit about what the train experience was like. I actually kind of met a friend on the train. The woman sitting across from me was quite chatty, and so we had a nice conversation. And then just some more scenery. And that's it for the Portland book. I hope you enjoyed it.